Good morning. Well, depends on what time you see this video, right? So somebody left a comment wanting me to make a video on the movements of trapped emotions. Now, before I get started, here's my disclaimer. I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, and all that stuff. Don't have any letters behind my name. But I have worked with a lot of people on different issues. And it's interesting that I lost track of how many times people said, wow, I've been seeing a psychologist, psychiatrist, therapist for many, many years, and I sit here with you for 2 hours, and I'm a lot more clear. I have a lot of reasons for that I can do another video on. But people will ask me this question if I have this formal academic training when I talk about certain emotional issues, because social programming says you have to have that degree on the wall and letters behind your name. Otherwise, you're not qualified for this. So, yeah, even if you have that degree and letters behind your name and you're only 25 years old, right? So, all that being said, the issue was movements of trapped emotions. Okay, and I want to talk about the emotion part first. In my mind, the emotions are responses to, or programmed responses, to different issues that we have going on within us. Now, as babies, it's really interesting when you have a newborn. They can look at you and just smile and laugh, and you really don't know why. Like, what was the joke? I missed it. But you can really clearly see it's a happy emotion, a just joyful emotion. Then there's times where they're just crying and you can't do anything about it. It's just, no matter what you do, they just keep crying. It looks so desperate, so horrible, and you just feel helpless as a parent, and you don't know why that's happening. And then those are the two basic ones that you see as a young, brand new human being. And then other emotions come into play as we get older. And when I say they can be responses to programming, because society will say, well, these things are good and they will make you happy. And you look at that and you have these things, and people go, oh, I should be happy. I am happy, right? And it's interesting how many people that I've had that were like middle-aged people, especially, that were very, very successful, um, men and women, very successful, and they say almost the same thing. When you look at my life from the outside, you think I should be the most happy person in the world. That is pure programming, because they say, well, I should look like, you know, and I have everything, the perfect career, the perfect health, I got the perfect marriage, the perfect family. It's just all wonderful. Why am I not happy? Why do I not have the happy emotion with this alleged happy picture? And I ask things like, well, what would make you happy? And they just kind of go, I don't know. See, and there's another emotion behind that. It could be anxiety, it could be like confusion, it could be all kinds of things. And therein starts the process. And it's a long, depending on the obstacles it gets to the source, because a lot of this is denial. One man in Germany, for instance, was a very successful man in business, banker, and he wanted to be an artist, musician, but no, dad was a banker, grandpa was a banker, you're going to be a banker. And he's like, oh, great. And look at the variation there between the person that's very emotional and creative going into the world of numbers, you know. So it's like, ugh. So, I mean, some people love it. I have a friend that's a shaman, he's an accountant, he just loves it. And that's what his thing is. And it's like, okay, great. But for this particular guy, it wasn't. And he was just like, what's the point? And when I hear what's the point, it's after that usually comes of living further than this moment. And people can get down to that. Now, that's severe depression, another emotion. And sometimes people get the depression and they don't know why. I'm like, well, what's making you sad? I don't know. I don't know. I just am. And again, got to get there more exploration. And I think that's one of the biggest things between the work that I do and different psychology people in the therapy fields, okay, psychological fields. In shamanism, we look at each person unique as a brand new being. You're just like you're just visiting Earth for the first time, and you get a chance to ask somebody some questions. You're not putting anything in a category. You're not putting anything in a box. And that's also why my appointments are a minimum of 2 hours, especially the first one. And because I know for a fact that people are not going to open up for at least the first half hour, 40 minutes, because the emotions that come along with that of fear, guilt, shame, and who knows else what but they just won't. And I usually get the most valuable information from the appointment usually at the last half hour. And that's just the way it works. So when it comes to the movement of trapped emotions, okay, so what makes them trapped? And the way that I'm seeing this is this feedback loop. People do the same thing. We, by design, human life got very repetitive. Do the same things all the time. Go to the same job. Do the same task. See the same people. Same time every day. Same set of days. The weekday, the work week. Um, Go through all the ceremonies of get paid, go shopping, pay bills, watch the same TV programs. It's like, ah. I look at and I've done this. There's times I had to go to work. I had to do these things, these projects or whatever. But God, I dreaded it. Not, yeah, and you get caught up in the emotional stagnation with it. So how did I deal with that? First off is when we say movement of the track, you got to move the body. You have to move the mind. You have to get it out of that feedback loop. And I would always do these things like study a different language. Not just like European brands, but let's go for the Asiatic. Let's go for the Georgian from the Georgia country of Georgia or Shrillic and that was my thing. Then the next thing was to just go to the gym, take a walk, go swim, do something, go someplace different. Because we also like, oh, I need my cup of coffee from this special place. We'll go to a new one. Move outside your feedback loop. Go do something different. You know, get out of town. Just drive someplace. Take a cheap plane ride someplace, turn around, come back. So you got to first get out and see something different, do something different, allow yourself to start being something different from the feedback and stimulation you get outside your feedback loops. And so I've seen that when people are doing this, just doing something differently, even if, people walk from the house to the same, in Germany, for instance, or a lot of Europe, some people don't have cars because they have such a good public transport system. And I'm like, instead of going this way, go around the block. Go around to your bus stop and train station the back way. Go home a different way. Do anything differently, and allow yourself to look around. Because here's the other thing I see with people: when they're walking through town or anywhere else, they're looking down. And when I go to a new country to work, and that's one of the first things I look at, the colors that people are wearing and where are they looking when they're walking. Most times on their phone or right to the sidewalk, hands in the pocket. It's like, wow, you memorized all the chewing gum pieces, connect the dots to get to your bus station. But children are holding mommy, daddy's hand, whoever, and they're looking outward. They're looking like this. They haven't been emotionally scarred yet. And so the world is still new. They're still getting new stimuli. Even though they do the same things every day, they're still getting conditioned into that loop, but they still hold their head up. And it's sometime around puberty, the entrance of sexuality, suppression, hypocrisy, all the other programming is usually when the head starts going down. So we have to first remember what it was like to hang around with children. Do the things they do. Just go from one place and pick up a flower, look at it the same way they do. Some of these things sound so simple and like, really, I'm supposed to do that's going to fix my problems? No, it's not going to fix your problems. You're going to fix your problems, but you got to get your eyes off your problems first. Well, but that doesn't help. The problems are still there. Yes, but we need you to get into a different position to look at your problems from a different angle. Okay, you're going to see right now you're looking at the same problem in the same way, from the same distance and the same eyes, same perspective. That all has to change. Right? You're looking at, oh, my job's killing me. My job so he's killing me. It does and it will. You keep going through that and you will manifest your own destiny the same way. Same thing with the relationships. Oh, this always happens to me because you're doing the same things with the same kinds of people in the same way with the same environment, all that. So the movement and the trapped, it's trapped there because you keep feeding it. All right. The fact is, you didn't build a cage around it. Maybe you did emotionally. Maybe you need your story to come true. Maybe that gives you security. Oh, this always happens. Oh, this job sucks. I'll be here forever. Maybe, you know. But the fact is, you hear I've lost everything twice. Once to a hurricane, the other one economic collapse. And I could look at it, I'm like, why do I keep putting myself in this position? I'm doing it allegedly for dreams, long-term plans in a completely unstable environment. And life is an unstable environment, and especially depending on where you live and what's going on economically and so on. So people like variety. Give yourself variety. And they don't allow them to eat something different, drink something different, and it helps you think in different ways. Again, in the movement, you have to move the body. Okay, you just have to do that. For men, I'm really suggesting you do explosive things. Punch the bag, push yourself, explosive energy. That helps with the testosterone, grow within you. It helps your thinking. It helps your problem solving. This is what we do as men. Sorry, I'm old fashioned. I'm just going to do two genders. And the women can't really talk about what it's like to be a woman. Sorry, Central Texas allergies. But from what I've seen, women love movement that's soft. They love to dance. They love to be playful. Do that. Do the things you did as a little girl, and who cares what anybody thinks. One interesting fact that I heard in Germany about 5 years ago, and then when I asked therapists in different countries, they agreed with it. I was sitting in a TV tower with a woman and her husband, and she was asking us what we thought about, when we look over the city, in Dusseldorf, Germany. And we gave our opinions, and then, what about you? And she goes, I look out and I get sad. And I'm like, why's that? She goes, look at every third window. That's a clinical depression case. 30% of the population is clinically depressed. She goes, oh yeah. 12 to 15% is suicidal. And she goes, that's the number we know about because they killed themselves. Okay. And like, she goes, really? Or I'm like, really? And she goes, yeah, there's so many people think about it. I looked further into this and asking clients, I just get this feeling and they're like, yeah. I said, you ever think about killing yourself? And they're like, yeah. I was just shocked. And actually, it's more women than men. Amazing. Men are more aggressive about it, more impulsive about it, but women think about it. They'll make a ceremony about it. You know, Guys will just do something quick, boom, gone. Girls will write letters and set up a bath or something, and it was a shock to me, absolute shock. And I've been working with people for a long time, but that one got by me. So now I pay attention to that. And now what I'm hearing is with kids, it's even, when I say kids, actually from 10 years old up. What emotions get trapped in a 10-year-old where they're thinking about destroying themselves? Amazing. People, don't allow yourself to be a disposable commodity to big corporate interest. You know, it's your life. I can promise you I'll be 64 next month, and time passes quickly, especially as you get older. You need to be able to live your life as a story you want to be told at the end. If you were going to make a movie about it, what would it be? Right now, you might be looking back at your life like, oh, it's been boring, it's been whatever. All right. You ever see those movies where the person was going along, same thing, and then finally look around like, okay, I got to get out of this, and boom, the movie changes. You can do that, just like the characters in there. You can do it your way. Don't allow yourself to become a statistic where people say, yep, another suicide case. Oh, another person heart attack from stress. Oh, another person, had massive ulcers, and oh, another. Don't be that person. You know, none of us are getting out of this alive. That's the old joke, right? How do you want to go? What do you want to be your last thoughts? Yeah, I look at that. People are like, dude, one of these adventures is going to kill you. I'm like, yeah, but I'd rather do that than die in rush hour traffic, going to a job I don't want to be at, being around people I don't like, doing things I don't want to do. Yeah, I'll take the adventure mishap before that. I don't want to waste away. You know, be the person you admire. Be the living book that inspires other people. But you have to make the movement. And you have to move out of your trapped box. You have to move out of your programming. You just have to move. We trap ourselves because of what we acknowledge or accept as the social programming. Oh, you're supposed to do this. A good person does. We hear that from kids. Good boys do this. Bad boys do this. You want to be a good boy or girl or a bad boy or girl? No. Be you, however that is. Don't worry about other. Fear, guilt, and shame stops people in the most horrible ways. Okay, just be who you are, and that's that. Because at the end of it, no matter how many people are around you, you die alone. And one of the saddest things that you can be thinking in your last moments would be, I wish I would have. Oh, God, that won't be me. People, if you like any of my videos, please share. Please comment about anything else. For the person who suggested this, if you give me more details, you can write me on shamaniclodge@gmail.com. And that way your name, if you don't want to, have your name there on these comments or, because people might find it or whatever. I understand that. I protect people's privacies, and I do videos on it. I can give a little bit more, information. Yeah, I will use the material. Say, as an example, this person I work with said these things, because I look at it as when you share your experience. I don't have to share your name and details, but I can share some of the thoughts that come from you and will come from me, and maybe we can help other people, through their part. So that's when people give me these ideas, they're helping me help other people who may not want to write. You know, things may get worse before they get better, but one of the things that can make things get better is better people. And those better people start off with people who are feeling better about themselves and their place in life and their decisions. And it's okay to make a plan and change it. That's just part of the process. But help me help them. Thank you very much.